And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. It is March 8th, 2023, and we are lined up to have yet another show filled with radio excellence. My name is Rob Brown, of course, directly on the other side of the metaphorical glass, although today, I guess the virtual metaphorical glass, as your boy is once again at the house dealing with transportation issues. It turns out that the insurance company in charge would not let me rent the car forever. So back in the network studio is the great one, Lonzo, Rob Brown, at the Casa de Love today, and we are ever so thrilled, as always, to have you guys along for the ride with us this AM, and what a day it's going to be, though I will start by telling you in something that the overwhelming majority of you do not care about, should not care about, will not care about. I had to start the show today, Zoe. Had to start the show today with a TENS unit attached to my shoulder. Now, if you have watched baseball at any point, you probably know what a TENS unit is. They've gotten very popular, predominantly amongst pitchers, but really with anybody with a sore arm. A TENS unit is a little device that connects via some wires to some sticky pads that connect to your body. They stick to you. You send electrical currents through those wires, and they electrically stimulate your muscle and effectively force itself to give itself its own massage, right? It jolts that muscle off and on and on and off and off and on and on and off, and forces it to kind of work itself out. And the reason I had to wear this is not because I watched the World Baseball Classic's opening game last night, which went first pitch at 11 p.m., and got inspired and went out and threw a few dozen heaters at the fence in the backyard. And the reason that I had to do this, Lonzo, is because, I turned 38 about a week ago, and apparently 38's just the age you break down, because I apparently made the critical mistake last night of sleeping in a way that my body did not appreciate. And my right shoulder is absolutely wrecked. See, it used to be when Rob Brown was younger and more formidable of a back when I would be described less as sturdy and more as strapping, Lonzo. I used to get out on the bump and I would throw 80, 90 pitches. I used to go out onto the basketball court and I'd put up a couple hundred layups, free throws, and threes. I used to go run for 3-4 hours a day playing multiple sports and be just fine. But now, if I sleep the wrong way, if my head is pointed at an incorrect angle during the overnight hours, Rob Brown awakes in dire need of physical therapy, apparently.
I just thought we needed some appropriate music for the
Your sarcastic sympathy is noted but not appreciated.
All right, let me stop you there. This is like the third time you've done that. I think that the electric thing is actually shocking you, and it's causing you to lisp. So for you guys playing at home, see how many times Rob does that today in the show.
I don't know what is going on with me right now.
It's
those of you,
shock, dude. That's what it is. And by the way, I had the same problem like yesterday, and I rubbed some dirt on it. That's all I'm saying, man. But now we see how the 1%ers roll when they have a problem. You actually just have that in your house, or did you go buy it?
Oh no, I've owned this since college maybe. Wow. And it worked for. Listen, I can't tell you that it definitively works.
There's a wire loose. That's why you keep going.
I can't tell you that it definitively works. All I can tell you is that it's better than nothing right now. because I got up this AM. You know, the lady friend and I both wake up between 5:30 and 6 a.m. Ordinarily, I'm out the door between 6:15 and 6:30. She's out around 7:30. I got up this morning and am going to I walked outside because I was going to bring the motorcycle to work today, right? I don't have a choice until I get a new vehicle. The motocicleta is the only mode of transportation that I have available to me right now. So I got up this morning and went outside, and the motorcycle wouldn't start. So I connected it to her car. I jumped it. It ran, but I found out that the alternator in the motorcycle, unlike a car, right? Like you turn on your car, your alternator directs a current back into the battery and it charges up the battery for you as the car runs. With the motorcycle, or at least the one that I have, the motorcycle has to actually be moving. It has to actually be running. So basically, long story short, the bike is dead and Rob is stuck at the house today until I can Uber up to the old AutoZone and get myself a new motorcycle battery. And I was ordinarily, I actually prefer to be in the studio. I actually prefer to be at work. I'm more dialed in. I'm more focused. I'm more ready. There's fewer distractions, etc., etc. But I was actually glad today, to some degree, that I would be working at the house because my shoulder doesn't work. And not for a cool reason, right? Like, it would be cool if I played some pickup ball yesterday and I threw down a hammer dunk over and postered a guy, and then on the way down, he chucked me into a wall and it banged me up a little bit. That'd be a great story. It would be cool. That
used to happen all the time on the playground, I'm sure.
For sure. It would be cool if, like, I went to the shooting range yesterday and I put a few dozen rounds downrange and my shoulder was a little sore from eating up the shock, eating up the bump of a rifle or something because I was putting in target practice. That would be cool. No. The reason Rob is at the house, aside from a car accident, the reason Rob is at the house is because his right shoulder doesn't work because he slept the wrong way. Do you understand what a shot to my ego that is? Do you understand what a shot to my fragile masculinity it is? To go from, at one point, an athlete who participated in 4 to 7 sports year-round all the way through college, who was in good shape with a six-pack and a jump shot, who now can't sleep without injuring himself. I have got to change something, kids.
I have AARP on speed dial. I'm going to call and let them know that it's time.
I don't even make the qualifications for that yet, right? Like, it would be one thing if I could call up AARP and be like, hey, I need a doctor that you go to when your body sucks and you sleep the wrong way and you wake up on the IR, and they'd be like, oh, Mr. Brown, you're far too young for that complaint. And they would be right, for the record.
But you're not. You're not. It's 40 is when you start getting those mailings. So you're really close to that.
I'm staring down the barrel, my man. Staring down the barrel. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a booked up show for you today. A lot of things that we need to get into on the radio broadcast. The NFL, wildly busy right now. We had franchise tag deadline yesterday. We had a handful of players, including 2 running backs, a quarterback, and a tight end, eat the tag. And we had, because of the quarterback that ate the tag, that would be one Lamar Jackson, we have started to see what the reports are about who might be interested. Why? Because I told you at the end of yesterday that the Ravens had an option. They could either give Lamar Jackson the exclusive franchise tag, which means that they would have owed him around $45.2 million. It is the average salary of the top 5 players paid at that position for the next season. So Lamar would have been owed $45.2 million next season. But the Ravens instead decided in a decision that I can't even begin to explain, decided instead to offer Lamar Jackson the non-exclusive franchise tag. It saved them about $13 million, as I told you it would yesterday. They will owe Lamar Jackson.
You really don't get this. You really don't understand.
Do you think they want the trade?
Here's the thing. They're saying, hey, if someone wants you as bad as you think they do, then they'll make an offer. So this is an ego check is what it is. Because if no one comes calling, then you only got one team that you have to deal with. And when you don't have an agent, you don't have anyone in there helping you out except for you, which he's done pretty well so far with that. But, I mean, now you have no one speaking for you. That means you get to talk to the teams. And if you are your own agent and no one calls, what kind of ego check is that?
I think, sir, that you may be spot on. I think, sir, that might be the take of the month from Lonzo. I think he is knockout, drag down, spot on with that. You've created a situation here where you allow the rest of the NFL to effectively negotiate with Lamar Jackson. Anybody can now call Lamar and go, hey man, here's the contract we're willing to offer you. And then one of two things happens. Either A, the Ravens get to go, you know what? You were right. You were worth that. Now we will give you that contract because we want you here, and he's a Raven. Or Lamar Jackson can be negotiated with. The Ravens decide not to match the contract. The Ravens then get 2 first-round picks, the next 2 first-round picks off of that team. Lamar gets his contract. Everybody's happy. But Lonzo, I think, brings up a spectacular point. Yesterday, when it was announced that the non-exclusive franchise tag would be placed on Lamar, within hours, we learned that the Atlanta Falcons are not interested. And again, let's preface all of this with, Lonzo, it is smokescreen season, right? It is the point in time where NFL teams are doing everything they can to cover their tracks and not give any signs towards their draft strategy. But the Atlanta Falcons, per league sources, are not expected to go after Lamar Jackson. The Washington Commanders, are, according to league sources, not expected to covet Lamar Jackson. And the Carolina Panthers, despite repeated reports that they will be uber aggressive in finding their quarterback, are not expected to be interested in Lamar Jackson, predominantly because, as we've mentioned, Lamar wants something like the $230 million guaranteed that Deshaun Watson is getting from the Cleveland Browns right now. As we told you when Deshaun got that contract, there aren't going to be a ton of teams that are willing to come off of that. The question that we're about to get answered, Lonzo, is, are there any teams that are going to be willing to do this, right? Are there any teams? Here's my question. Is it possible that Jerry Jones would be the guy that decides, I can get this figured out. I can make this right. I can handle this. I can make sure this goes in my favor. Any chance that JJ offers up $230 guaranteed to Lamar, and Lamar goes, you know what? Baltimore wouldn't pay me. Dallas would. That's where I want to be. Or Baltimore says, you know what? We want to keep you. We'll match the contract since now we know the market. This is, Lonzo, I think you're spot on. Above anything else, this is an efficient way for the Baltimore Ravens to test the market with the end result of, okay, if the market does indeed say that Lamar Jackson is worth a Deshaun Watson contract, now we know he is there. Now we know that market's available, and we can give him that contract and keep our guy. But it also lets Baltimore show Lamar, hey, we don't think the market's what you think it is. We think the Browns screwed the pooch, artificially inflated the market. We don't think there are any other teams that are willing to do that. And we're happy to let you go out there and find that out on your own. This is an excellent way, Lonzo. I think you nailed it. An excellent way for the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson to both truly test what the quarterback market looks like. And if there is a contract for Lamar, the Ravens can match it or get to first. And if there's not a quarterback contract for Lamar available, the Ravens don't screw themselves by giving him one. They can match whatever he's offered and go, and by the way, Lamar, nobody else was going to give you more than that, because if they were, they would have. It's actually, I'm glad you said that, Zoe. It's actually a brilliant play. Well done.
See, the only downside that I can see to this is, do you deflate his ego to the degree where if you keep him, that he doesn't play well, that he goes out and is like, you know what, nobody wants me, and kind of is down. I don't think he's that kind of guy. I think he gets on the field, he wants to win every time. But I'm going to be interested to see if anyone comes calling, because again, they have to talk directly to him. And if his phone does not ring, man, think about that. If you put yourself out like that and no one calls you, how would that make you feel?
I'm lonely, so very lonely. Nobody loves me. That might be, sincerely, that might be the reality here, right? Now, do I think that Lamar takes that hit to the old ego and it impacts his play mentally? I don't know. I'm not Lamar, nor am I a psychologist or a therapist. I don't know what the mental impact on this might be for Lamar Jackson. It's abso-freaking-lutely possible that it does ding the ego. It does ding the confidence. Lamar's going, wait a minute, I'm not as good as Deshaun? Is that what you're telling me? And it impacts him. Or the exact opposite could also be true. Lamar Jackson goes, ain't none of y'all bleeps think I'm worth it? Well, I'm about to ball out and show you. And Lamar comes out and has a career year, right? That's absolutely also a possibility. What I do know about this entire situation is it has created a conflict between Lamar and Baltimore that they don't have to, neither one of them has to be the bad guy here, right? Lamar, if he wants that $230 million and somebody is willing to give him that $230 million, Lamar's getting $230 million, right? He's either going to get it from Baltimore matching the contract, or he's going to be whatever he is on his next team, and he's going to get the money he wants. But if no one's willing to give him that contract, Baltimore gets to say, all right, man, we let you test the market. We let you play with the numbers. Obviously, the market's not there. You now know that Cleveland made a mistake, not a great investment. However, we are still willing to make sure that you are paid the way that you would have been paid had you gone somewhere else. I think this is a solid solution from Baltimore, Lonzo, because nobody really has to be the bad guy. And I think it works out fine. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I agree with you. I don't think he's the guy that gets down to the dumps. I think he bet on himself this entire time. If for some reason he sticks in Baltimore, he's going to go out there and bet on himself again and play well.
Let us grab a phone call real quick. Melinda is on the line to talk a little bit about Lamar. Hello, Miss Melinda. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Somebody needs to tell Lamar that he can't base any of his decisions on what happened with Deshaun, because nobody else is dumb enough to do what Cleveland did. Cleveland's the only one that makes these stupid, irresponsible decisions, except maybe the Yankees in baseball, but, and ends up paying people for 50 years later down the road. Nobody else in the NFL is going to guarantee somebody a full contract like that, but Cleveland.
No, I think you're spot on, Melinda, and I think Baltimore is banking on that, right? Like, that is what this bet is from the Ravens. They're going to let him go out there and find out. And listen, if there is another team, and I'm staring directly at the Dallas Cowboys, that might take that risk. JJ wants another Super Bowl before he dies, and he's closer to that than the other end. If JJ is willing to invest, I mean, maybe, and then Baltimore can go, okay, you know what? It wasn't just Cleveland being stupid. That is the new market. We've got to figure it out. But it also lets Baltimore show Lamar Jackson, no, dude, Cleveland did it. Cleveland was dumb. Cleveland paid way more than the market calls for, and we're going to prove that to you. I agree with you. Cleveland's contract for Deshaun Watson, especially with everything he was going through off the field, was irresponsible. Yep. It was well above market value, and they are going to pay the price for many, many years, especially if Deshaun never bounces back. But Melinda, I think that's exactly what the Ravens are banking on here, is effectively proving to Lamar, it's not just that we don't want to give you that, it's that nobody wants to give you that.
Exactly. And has Jackson played a full season without missing games yet?
I think one, if I recall correctly, towards the beginning of his career. But he's also 25, going to be 26 mid-next season. I mean, the guy's not ancient. You look at Derek Carr. Derek Carr is going to be, 32 going on 33 when this season starts. And he just got a $25 million guaranteed for 4 years. The market is there to overpay quarterbacks, but he's a young guy.
Carr also doesn't run the ball 9 out of 10 times either.
Yeah, so we talked about this yesterday on the show, Melinda. It is a bit of a misnomer that Lamar Jackson's a run-first quarterback. I think people look at Lamar and they think Michael Vick. Like, they run the way that he runs the way Michael Vick used to, where Vick had 12 or 13 designed runs per game. In wins, Lamar Jackson only runs the ball 10 or 11 times a game, and only about 4 to 5 of those are designed runs. The problem is, when they are designed runs, they run him like a power running back instead of giving him the extra blocker. And that's something that I think a guy like a Kyle Shanahan or a Sean Payton could take better care of down the line. But all of this circles back to, regardless of whether you like him or dislike him as a runner or a passer, Baltimore has just allowed us to experiment with the quarterback market and find out what it is actually worth for a Pro Bowler, for an All-Starer. Melinda, great call. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We got to run to a break. We got plenty more. Other players getting tagged yesterday. We're going to talk about quarterbacks in the NFC South before the draft, so we can talk about them after it as well, and a whole lot more. Lots of NFL this hour. College basketball in the next. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate.
QC.
Hey, it's Mark Ryan. Join me for Offsides today at 3 on the Fan Upstate and on the Odyssey app.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you about our friends at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in non-surgical regenerative therapy. If you have got joint pain, and it's not just the pain that impacts you, but it's the effect it has on your quality of life. It is your golf or ride a bike or whatever else, and it prevents you from doing that. Well, QC Kinetics can help. And you're going to get told at points in your life, hey, look, you're going to have to get a new knee. We got to fuse the vertebrae. Before you do any of that, I want you to get in touch with QC Kinetics at QCKINETIX.com. QCkinetics.com. And when you do, they are going to explain the science of how they harness your body's own natural healing abilities. You know, like when you were younger and you didn't have to fight joint pain. They will restore it, jumpstart it. You get the connective tissue back. You get rid of the joint pain. You get your quality of life back. No surgery, no anesthesia, no drugs, no steroids, no physical therapy, no downtime. And if you want to learn more, they have appointments available right now in Greenville and Asheville. Call them at 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that first consultation for free with our friends at QC Kinetics.
If you own a small...
Hudson said, can they help with sleep-related injuries?
It's pretty funny. That's the There was no other way around doing that since you're not on Comrex.
Yeah. The live. I think that's the only one we got today, though, right?
It is. So
Okay. All right, be right back.
Same here, people. I'll be right back. Actually, I probably should unmute myself, shouldn't I? We're having some equipment problems. So normally, if we had the equipment that we would normally have, I would be able to take care of that. But we didn't. We couldn't. So we just did what we did.
BCHD3.
There's just one more thing.
And on your computer at
FanUpstate.com.
Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show.
Only on the Fan.
The Fan.
Upstate.
So last segment about Lamar, and the reason, because I got asked on Twitter during the break why we've had so much Lamar Jackson conversation. I think part of the reason we had so much conversation about Lamar Jackson predominantly is because Lamar Jackson is the next domino to fall in the National Football League, right? Now that he is tagged, now that negotiations can take place between Lamar Jackson and any other NFL program, now it looks like Lamar Jackson is the next domino to fall. After him, Aaron Rodgers. And there is a part of me, Lonzo thinks that Aaron Rodgers genuinely enjoys the trolling, right? Like he is enjoying keeping people strung out and having to wait to find out where that next paycheck is coming from. And I don't think it's a bad thought, to be honest.
By the way, there is activity on the Aaron Rodgers front. So
there is. I saw that, and we'll be coming to that in a minute. But what I found interesting was I decided during the break to go take a look because, again, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question about anything that may or may not happen in sports, the first thing you should do is check the Vegas odds, right? People in Las Vegas are paid mucho dinero in order to win your money, right? They want to know what's going on, and they are going to be working sources and phone lines harder than any Adam Schefter in the game. So I went and I pulled up the odds for Lamar Jackson's next football team. And they are listed and available to be wagered upon. Lonzo, there are 3 teams listed as having shorter odds to employ Lamar Jackson as their starting quarterback next year above the Baltimore Ravens. Would you like to take a stab at who they are?
So these are 3 teams that they believe would want Lamar Jackson.
Have better odds to employ Lamar Jackson next year than the Ravens, correct?
Well, since you've mentioned Dallas so much, I'm going to throw that in there, although I'm not so sure about that. Then I'm going to go with Atlanta. And then the third one will be one that I believe would be a local thing, and that would be Carolina.
You are 1 for 3, sir. You
Yes.
are 1 for 3.
Cool.
The third shortest odds, I should say. The third shortest odds, the Baltimore Ravens are plus 600. The New York Jets are plus 500. Now, that one's interesting because keep in mind, the Jets have been making a heavy push for Aaron Rodgers, right?
They got them googly eyes towards him. Like
They
hey, man,
do.
hey,
They have been
here.
tweeting Aaron with the heart eyes emoji for about 2 months now. Okay? So, the Jets are also, according to Las Vegas, the third shortest odds to land Lamar Jackson. The shortest odds in the NFL, the best odds, are the Las Vegas Raiders at plus 200 right now. Now, if you're keeping score at home, plus 115 is ordinarily what we would call around even odds. Plus 100 to plus 115, we would traditionally call even odds, right? Even money. They are at plus 200, 2-1 odds to land Lamar Jackson. That is better than every other team in the NFL. The team wedged in the middle between the two of them is the one Lonzo got correct. The Carolina Panthers at plus 350. Plus 350. So you are longer odds than the Raiders, but shorter odds than the Jets at plus 350. That comes less than a day after the reports started dropping. I saw Diana Rossini from ESPN was the first one to drop this report that the Panthers were not interested in Lamar Jackson, or at least were not interested in paying Lamar Jackson. But the reason I truly believe that door remains open for Carolina, Lonzo, is there is a number somewhere that is between the $45 million that the Ravens would have had to pay Lamar to exclusively tag him, right? And the $230 guaranteed for probably 5 or 6 years that Deshaun Watson got. There's a number in between those two that you would get him away from the Ravens but not have to give him a Deshaun Watson caliber contract. And as aggressive as David Tepper has said that he plans on being moving forward, that number might not be a number that Carolina is unwilling to come off of. So they are absolutely, despite reports to the contrary, I think, they are absolutely going to be worthy to have the conversation with Lamar of, look, dude, we're not giving you $230 million for 6, but what if we gave you $175 for 5, right? What if we gave you a very competitive number, a number that still makes you the second or third highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, and we did so in a way that you would be fully in charge as the franchise player here, and I think that could work.
All right. The more reports I hear, the more I believe, the more I get excited from the Carolina standpoint that they're actually going to do what I think they should do. The fact that they're supposedly out on Lamar, I think they are out on Lamar. I think they're going to do what Rashad and I have been calling for them to do. They're going to trade up to number 1 and take a young quarterback. That is the move, absolutely the move to make. Because whatever you throw out there for Lamar, Baltimore can match. How far are you willing to go? How much are you willing to offer him to get him away from that team? And I don't know if there's any team out there that'd be willing to do it. Although the fact that the Raiders' odds are pretty high, I didn't really think about the Raiders. That might be the one team.
So there's a couple of aspects to this, I think. And I would start with, keep in mind that if you put your number on the table to Lamar, let's say it's 175 for 4 or 175 for 5, right? 175 for 5, which honestly for me is absolutely worth it, and 2 first-round picks to Baltimore. That's how this works. You're going to have to go around 175 for 5, and you're going to have to give up 2 firsts. I am going to tell you right now, I don't know that you're not going to have to give up 2 firsts to move into the top 3. And the only options for Carolina are 1 and 3, right? Unless Houston moves to 1 and Chicago goes to 2, then 2 and 3. But there are 2 slots open inside of the top 3. And to get your guy, to get the guy, I think you've got to be inside of that top 3. To get inside of that top 3, I think the haul you will have to come off of will be more valuable than 2 first-rounders at the end of the day. It may not include 2 first-rounders, but if you get Lamar, you win the NFC South next year. All right? Does anybody feel confident in that? Derek Carr today is the best quarterback in the South. Right now, the New Orleans Saints are considered to have about a 60% chance to win the division with Derek Carr next year. With Lamar Jackson, that number flips. I believe Carolina goes to about a 60% chance to win the division next year. So that first-round pick for next year likely falls around 20 to 22, right? And then could go down depending on any success in the playoffs. If you go get a C.J. Stroud or a Bryce Young or an Anthony Richardson, the value of picks, the haul you're going to have to give away, will be more valuable than 2 first-round picks, and you are taking a commodity you have to gamble on as opposed to a commodity of which the value is already known in Lamar Jackson. We know what Lamar is. We know what Lamar can do. It's not so much a gamble there as CJ would be.
It is a gamble for Lamar. As Melinda pointed out earlier, he's injured a lot. He really is. So, I mean, you're taking a shot on someone who hasn't been labeled injury prone, even though he hasn't really finished too many seasons. And yeah, I get he's younger and the potential's there, but you're going to have to change your offense. You're going to have to do a lot of things for a guy who may not make it through the whole season.
So I went to DraftSharks.com. DraftSharks.com, because again, Vegas does sports journalism unintentionally better than most journalists do it intentionally. They went and they compiled every injury that Lamar Jackson has sustained in his career. Here's all of them, okay? 2015, he had a pedal ankle sprain. He missed a single game as a freshman at Louisville. In 2020, he missed practice ahead of week 5 due to a knee injury. He played that week. January 16, 2021, he suffers a grade 1 concussion during the last play of the third quarter during the divisional round game at Buffalo. They would lose that game, so he missed no time. In 2021, late September, a back lower lumbar sprain. He did play the next week, did not miss any time. December 12th, 2021, a few weeks later, another pedal ankle sprain. In week 14, he missed the rest of the regular season, a total of 2 more games. And then December 4th, 2022, this past season, he missed the final 6 games, including the wild card matchup with Cincinnati. Now, that was the most significant injury, but I also want you to keep in mind, there are a lot of people, myself included, who believe that Lamar Jackson could have come back, but elected not to as kind of a finger wag at the Ravens. Look what you don't have. You were an AFC wild card, and I got you to that point and then you kind of slowed up at the end without me. That's what I bring to this team. You could have been a divisional contender if I was available to you. I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm not a journalist. I don't have hashtag sources. But what I can say is there are a lot of people, myself included, who believe that Jackson could have come back at the end of the year, specifically in the playoff game, but elected not to, as a kind of illustration to Baltimore about why they should play him. Now, that may, and I suspect Lonzo might be in this group, if that is the case, if Lamar could have returned but elected not to in order to protect himself, to prove his point to Baltimore, and to get paid this season, there's a lot of people who might say, well, then Lamar put himself above the team, and I don't want a guy like that on my team, right? And I would understand that argument. But unless that's proven, then it's kind of a hypothetical conversation in the first place. And even if that is true, I am very rarely going to fault a guy for protecting himself over $30 million when the potential for $175 million is on the table. That is a gulf of difference between the two. So looking back through his injury history, he has missed a grand total of, 3 weeks there. 2 games there. He missed no games. He's missed 8 games since 2020 in total. Lonzo, that's not an extensive list of injuries like people want you to think that it is.
It's not. But so why is the perception out there that he is injured all the time? I mean, because I think you ask the average fan, if they're not a Baltimore fan, they're thinking that he's hurt all the time.
I think it's recency bias, right? I think it's a recency bias. I think that it is a proven logical fallacy amongst human beings that we tend to put an emphasis on our recent experience as opposed to looking at the big picture, right? We tend to look at what has happened recently and think that's the case when that's not necessarily true. Lamar missed 6 games, 5 regular season and 1 playoff game this past season. And so everybody looks and goes, oh, he's hurt. He's missed a lot of time. He really hasn't. He missed 1 game at Louisville. He's missed 8 total games throughout his career, according to DraftSharks.com. That's not really an extensive list of games. He has missed since 2020 less than half of a full season combined as a rushing quarterback, which also, by the way, perception is he's a rushing quarterback and he's really not that either. So, again, the point that I'm making here is 2 firsts and a fat contract for a guy that is proven versus a small contract but a haul of draft picks that is worth more than 2 firsts to get an unproven college kid. I'm just saying I know which way I lean. So there you go. There's some thoughts.
The Panthers should trade all their picks and go up and get CJ Stroud.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1 with your thoughts. I want you to hit me with them right now, and you can do so by texting 71307. Start your text with FAN. FAN, FAN, 71307. Start your text with FAN. We'll read them on the air. You can also give us a buzz and come on the air at 844-326-3663. We'll address the rest of these thoughts when we come back on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg,
And on the Odyssey app.
Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the sports.
My headphone keeps giving me this weird alarm sound.
They won the CAA title.
Yeah, I was going to mention that to you.
Oh, you could hear it? Good.
Yes.
First round of
Well,
the
it's plugged in,
Tuesday, Georgia Tech beat
so I don't know what it is.
61-60. Boston College over Louisville 80-62. Virginia Tech beat Notre Dame 67-64. Today, Wake Forest battles Syracuse. Georgia Tech against Pitt. Boston College battles North Carolina. Virginia Tech squares.
Did you end
off
up
with
watching
NC
any
State.
of Kelsey on Saturday Night Live?
I did not. Was it any good?
After the initial skit, which I didn't think was that funny, after that it was not bad. He was really good. I don't know anybody on there except for Keenan,
Yeah.
and nobody was memorable except for Keenan and Travis.
A lot of the ones that I liked have left, including Cecily Strong, who is now doing the commercials where Paul Giamatti is dressed like Albert Einstein because reasons.
Yeah, well, you know.
I love Cecily. I think Cecily's the best thing SNL's had for years, and she took off,
Well, they can't stay there forever except for Keenan.
except for Keenan.
You should look up the skit that they cut. It's kind of messed up. It's an NFL Cares thing.
Okay.
Yes, and it has Jason in it. It also has Creed Humphrey in it.
I will check it
It's
out.
about boyfriends who can't lift up their girlfriends. I haven't heard it with the sound on, so I don't know how bad it is. But I saw it like yesterday pop up on my Twitter feed and was like, "Oh, okay."
I like that this thing tensing my shoulder is making me look like I'm about to start a Michael Jackson dance.
You so far haven't hee-heed yet, but
Hee hee. Chamona. Hey, Rob, since you're working remotely, can we all come over for beers? There was a point in time, and I don't know that I'm going to get away with it yet, though. When we inevitably hit Pat McAfee status, I will. You know that show Drunk History that Comedy Central does or used to do?
you're talking to the listeners, of course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen Drunk History, or you know of it.
I've heard of it, but I have no idea what it is.
So
The
effectively,
history of drunks, I suppose.
no, quite the opposite. They get comedians absolutely thrashed and then have them tell stories about historical figures and events, right? So you get stand-up comedians just hammered drunk and then have them tell important stories from history. It's comedy gold. And then as they're telling the story hammered, they have other comedians act out their stories up to including like having the characters, whenever the drunk person slurs and says something dumb, do that in the recreation skit. It's really funny. Anyway, I have wanted to, in years past, establish a place where no one has to leave after we do it, but just have like 6 mics around a table, have a bunch of dudes knocking back whiskey and watching major like sporting events from history, like old sporting events. Like, let's watch Jordan's flu game. Let's watch the catch. Let's watch, whatever, the Texas-Oklahoma or the Texas USC national championship game. Let's watch tremendous sports events with 6 or 7 dudes banging neck bottles of whiskey. I bet it would go great.
It would definitely be interesting.
Oh, yeah, it'd be hilarious.
As long as it's a bunch of huggers and not, likes to fight guy.
Oh, all of my friends are, I love you, man, guys. But yes, Hudson, drunk sports history would be the direction we go with that, and I think it would be fantastic. Brandon says drunk history is top shelf. It absolutely is. It's a tremendously funny show.
97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live on the Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
Wrapping up hour number 1 of the Rob Brown Show. We got a couple of other pieces of news and notes out of the National Football League before we put that to bed and shift away in hour number 2. Geno has signed and re-upped in Seattle. Ends up taking a short-term extension with the Seattle Seahawks. No real surprise there. Geno was comeback player of the year for the Hawks this year. Pete Carroll said that in taking a short-term deal, that Geno Smith is betting on himself just a little bit. I love this for Geno, not because I think Geno's a top 7 or top 10 quarterback in the league, Lonzo, but because I don't know that there has been a more victim of circumstance quarterback in the league than Geno Smith. He got his chance after Russell left with no threat, with nobody coming after him, with nobody threatening the job, and Geno Smith was better than anybody expected him to be. I'm glad he got the extension. Good for Geno.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if he can repeat and get better from what he did last year, because it definitely was a pleasant surprise from someone who we thought, oh, that's your quarterback?
Yeah.
Now you can't say that.
Yeah, when Russ took off and Geno got the job, we were all like, uh-oh, they're done. Turns out he was okay. Calvin Ridley has been reinstated by the National Football League. He will make his return in week 1 in Jacksonville. Remember, Ridley got sat down because while he was away from the Atlanta Falcons on a mental health break, it also came out that he was gambling on the league. He was making some parlay bets on the league. That remains a no-no despite the fact that Calvin Ridley was not playing. No issue with the reinstatement here, right? He served his suspension. What he did, he could not have had control over as he wasn't currently playing. I'm interested to see what Calvin Ridley can do, because now that guy down in Jacksonville they call Sunshine, wearing number 16, Zoe's got a genuine red zone target now, which is one thing that he sorely lacked in Jacksonville last year.
You know, speaking of improving, from year to year, I can't wait to see what he's able to do this year, too. The fact that they made it into the playoffs, yeah, they went up against Kansas City and were competitive. What can he do when he gets some weapons?
And of the tags from yesterday, a pair of running backs tagged. Tony Pollard, tagged by the Dallas Cowboys. Josh Jacobs, tagged by the Las Vegas Raiders. Both of those guys are hugely influential running backs. Jacobs, of course, the NFL's leading rusher last year. How about Tony Pollard, a guy that averaged right at 5 yards per touch last year? The guy was a human first down machine, and I think we can say with this tag, Lonzo, that we won't be getting 3,000 "is Zeke done?" takes out of ESPN next year, because now the answer is officially and finally, yup, show is. Let's take a break. When we come back, we got some college shooty hoops to get into. Conference tournaments are underway around the country. We'll take a look at some bracketology, give you some thoughts on some favorites out of the major conferences. We've got some college ball to get into. Day 2 of spring practice for Clemson. We'll talk a little spring ball and more on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Hey, Greenville, Spartanburg.
It's March Madness.
James, I don't suspect anybody is going to try to talk themselves into Carson Wentz. Even Frank Reich. Especially Frank Reich.
I hope he goes to Tampa Bay.
Carson Wentz in Tampa Bay would be an absolute disaster, and I am here for it.
Yeah, me too. I wonder if you were a fan of that team, if you would just suddenly be a fan of another team.
If you're a fan of Tampa Bay, you're not a fan of Tampa Bay. You're a fan of the bandwagon. Noted Atlanta fan Brandon said, "Me too, Lonzo. Me too." Yeah, man, the FU gear is out in force. You love to see it. Happy for the Dins. Which, speaking of, Sunday, they will be having a watch party live at Timmons Arena to find out their seed and bracket that I believe they've opened up for the public. I may or may not be there. I'm working on that. I would love to be.
Keep in mind, we spring forward this weekend.
I know.
Right in the middle of us doing something.
Oh, that's true. How does that work for you guys? You just do your 2 hours, clocks be damned?
No. I was talking about Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, because it's late at night, isn't it?
Yes. Well,
Ray D and Dio.
Whatever. You're supposed to do it like at, I don't know why they pick like 2 a.m. Just so some people will get up at 2 a.m. and turn the clocks back. There are those people.
See, every clock I have now updates itself automatically.
Really? So you just have to trust that it's updated correctly.
It's never not done that. Skynet has not killed me off yet.
So you don't have any manual clocks?
I have a watch.
The old-fashioned clocks?
I have
Does
one.
Your watch update automatically?
I have two. I have I have multiple watches. I have 3 manual watches and I have 1 smartwatch. My smartwatch does update automatically, and I love that about it. The manual watches, obviously, I have to, gross, wind them myself. Ugh.
Stop it, James. I have a variety of clocks on purpose because, although, I guess if an EMP hits, a regular clock won't work either. Or would it?
No, they are, gears and springs.
Yeah, so it should be.
Theoretically, Lonzo, you should be fine.
Well, let's hope we don't find out anytime soon or ever. But
correct.
I don't know why my mind goes to Doomsday often lately. I don't know why.
Joey B said, "I'll just wear a different watch. That's easier." I respect that. He's not wrong.
The one you didn't fix last time.
Right.
Now it's right.
This is my daylight savings time watch, and this is my not daylight savings time watch. I have every watch in duplicate.
Brown Show. Only.
The Fan Upstate.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show is on your radio and on your digital devices around the world. You can get to it a variety of ways. Number 1, come hang out with us on the live stream. We live stream all 3 hours of the show every single day. And all you've got to do is go to facebook.com/thefanupstate. You can go to twitter.com/thefanupstate. Or you can search for The Rob Brown Show and The Fan Upstate on YouTube. You go there, you can watch the stream live, plus Twitch at The Rob Brown Show on Twitch as well. If you are not in a position to stream the show, you can listen to it for free and live in one of 3 ways. If you're in front of a computer, you go to www.thefanupstate.com, and there is a listen live button. You click that, bango, you're in. If you have a smart device like an Alexa, you just say, hey, Alexa, play 97.1 The Fan Upstate, and she will play it for you live and in real time. As, by the way, the one in my bedroom just started doing. So if you don't believe me, there you go. It's in the back room.
All right, while you fix that, let me just say, if you have to say www, you don't need to be on the internet.
All right, listen.
If you ain't figured that out by now, if you don't, I need a W and how many W's? I don't know how many W's. You just turn the internet off. It's
Lonzo, are you cognizant of the? Not most of the time. Are you cognizant of the times that you used to make fun of parents, teachers, authority figures, adults when you were a younger person?
Rob, who do I not make fun of?
Correct. So, growing up at the early stages of the internet, my dad was a radio talk show host many moons ago. Now, he did news talk and real estate, and I broke out of that cycle, thankfully. But my dad did news talk and real estate, and we used to give him grief, Lonzo, because whenever he would say anything about the interwebs on TV, he would say, or on the radio, he would say, yeah, go to www.whatever.com. www. And
who was in office at the time?
Let's see, this would have been this would have been late first Bush.
Okay, so
early Clinton, maybe.
So it wasn't during W's reign.
No, it wasn't when W was W. It was pre-W.
Okay, because
so he was saying W before W was president.
Listen, W, which is, I believe, the exact pronunciation, is very hard to do, and we're America. We like to do things quickly. Don't look at that. When you say W, do you actually say W?
So I do, and here's why. Because I gave my dad absolute and fiery hell for going on the radio. Now, I grew up in a small town, right? I grew up in a small town, smaller town, and my dad was very prominent within the community because he wasn't just like he did a talk show. He had a TV show. He was the #1 mortgage lender in the Florida Panhandle for like many years. My dad was very prominent in the community, and it used to drive me insane that my old man would get on the radio that my friends' parents listened to, and he'd go, and if you'd like to learn more about interest rates, you can go to www. And I'm like, you don't say anything else like that. It's just that. He doesn't go, you just pop on the old internet and hit up the old www.interest.rates.com if you like. My dad would get up on the mic and have a very Rob Brown's NPR voice. And he would say, to learn the latest in real estate across the Florida Panhandle, please feel free to visit www. And it's like, why? So because I gave him holy Hades for years of my life, about saying www, now I am very cognizant of making sure that when I say an internet address on the air, I say www.thefanupstate.com.
Yeah, that just sounds weird here. So, I mean, you go ahead and do your proper English, mister, but we say W in these parts.
Anyway, get on the old dadgum internets. Head on over to www.thefanupstate.com.
You feller might as well be a Yankee.
Yeah! All right, let's stop
Yeah, the
that.
Yankees don't do that.
Let's just stop all of that right now.
All right, so pay attention if he ever doesn't say W. Call him out on it because he
W.
needs it.
WWW. That's what you do with music, Lonzo. You lay on a track and then you W track. You know?
See, that's a dad joke, right?
It is.
Because I don't really tell those, but I'm starting to recognize them.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of things to get into here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate, which you can listen to live by telling your Siri or Alexa, play the Fan Upstate, or going to www.thefanupstate.com. That's my official voice. All right, so we got our NFL. We got most of our NFL news and notes out of the way.
Are you just going to skip? You just going to skip them? You just going to skip? You talk about NFL news. You're just going to skip them. You're just going to skip Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, you want your Aaron Rodgers talk here?
I think there are people out there who want to hear about the news about Aaron Rodgers, which is kind of juicy, man. It ain't juicy. You're saying it's not juicy. It's juicy.
Well, so let me make sure we're on the same page
I will
here.
say that the stream was all into it earlier when you just mentioned his name about where he might possibly be going, and who might have just flown out to California to talk to him.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have learned two things today. The first is what a team taking over Aaron Rodgers' contract would be locked in for. According to Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, whose work you can read, by the way, at www.sportsillustrated.com. If you take over Aaron Rodgers' contract for 2023, he would be owed $58.3 million option bonus prorated over 4 years on the cap, a $28.3 million bonus payable within 10 days of the signature, $30 million by September 30th, a $1.165 million base. You would owe him in cash money, $59.465 million, and the cap hit for next year would check in at $15.74 million. That's where that sits right now. And so, what does that mean? What is next? Well, according to Pat Bleeping McAfee, who had Diana Rossini and others reporting to him, the Jets have flown a jet out to Green Bay or California or whatever hobbit hole Aaron Rodgers is currently taking his mushrooms in to have a face-to-face, one-on-one meeting. Woody Johnson himself, as well as a contingent of Jets brass, have flown to go talk to A-Rod of the football persuasion and have a conversation with him about getting him to move on. Now, will he? Won't he? Big fat question mark. But keep in mind, and we told you this and played it yesterday, Rich Eisen was reporting that he was told at the Combine that the Green Bay Packers want Aaron Rodgers to say that he wants out. The Green Bay Packers want Aaron Rodgers to call his shot that he no longer wants to be a Packer. Why? So that they can move on from A-Rod without looking like the bad guys. Because shockingly, or maybe not, who knows, there's a lot of Packers fans that don't want Aaron Rodgers to move on. They want him to finish his career as a Green Bay Packer. And
wait. Why is that shockingly? He's arguably the best quarterback that Green Bay Packers have ever had. Why would they not want him to stay. Maybe the drama is being overinflated by the media everywhere, and people hate him because things that he did or did not do, and because he's a little eccentric, and because he's trolling everybody, and you guys are all playing into his hands, and it's masterfully done. And I for one, appreciate it.
Here's 2 reasons. Number 1 is the fact that Aaron Rodgers, how do I put this? We talked earlier about a lot of people being off of Lamar Jackson because of the fact that he may very well have just refused to play for the Ravens in the playoff game, even though he could have, because he was trying to, as the kids say, secure the bag. And that's a me decision. That's a decision that in professional wrestling, we call going into business for yourself, right? Now, I don't have a problem with it. A lot of people do. I don't know that there's a bigger, the opinion is, I don't even technically agree with it. But I don't know if there's a guy that is more thought of as going into business for himself than Aaron Rodgers, right? And the Packer mentality, of which I am not a fan, but I have multiple friends who are, the Packers mentality has always been, since the Vince Lombardi days, the Packers over everything, including yourself, right? Including yourself. And so there are some people put off by the fact that Aaron Rodgers has put on display the last couple of years, that Aaron Rodgers cares about Aaron Rodgers. I would also say to those people, you got to chill the bleep out. Aaron Rodgers is rapidly approaching 40. The dude's got to get the bag while he's got time for the bag to be gotten. So I don't have an issue with it. But there are some people who do. And so that's why I think that you've probably got a pretty healthy split between Packer bro who wants him back and Packer bro who wants him gone.
All right, earlier on the stream, and I don't remember who it was, someone said he wouldn't go to the Jets because that's where Favre went and he couldn't handle the ego hit. But it's the exact opposite. You go to the Jets and you're successful, then you're better than Brett Favre in Green Bay, and you just shown you were better than Brett Favre at the Jets. Why not do that?
First and foremost, I think there's an assumption being made that Aaron Rodgers gives a good gosh darn about comparisons to Brett Favre. I don't know that we know that, right? I don't think he's ever said anything about it. I don't think he's ever hinted at it. I don't think there's, frankly, I don't think there is a reason to believe that Aaron Rodgers cares in the least about Brett Favre comparisons. I just don't think that they're there right now. What I would be very interested in is Aaron Rodgers' comments on that, but obviously he is not going to give them to us or comments about anything else. So all we can say right now is that the Jets didn't put together a flight full of their top administrators, including the team owner, by the way, and fly to Green Bay or Las Vegas or Los Angeles or the Shire or wherever Aaron Rodgers is right now without already having Aaron Rodgers agree to a meeting in the first place. Now, that also doesn't mean that Aaron Rodgers is like, yeah, fly on out, bring the contract, and I'll sign it. I'm willing to hear out just about anybody as far as, what are you going to pay me for me to jump ship and move on to your team? And I got no problem with A-Rod doing that, right? But Lamar Jackson is the next domino to fall. Aaron Rodgers is the next after that. And after those two guys come off the board, it is going to be a free-for-all for the 4 guys in the draft. I don't know that anybody's getting all up in their feels about Carson Wentz. How interesting is it, Lonzo, that despite him being, I think for both you and I, the third most valuable free agent or third most valuable vet quarterback available, have you heard anybody mention anything about Jimmy Garoppolo in the last month and a half?
No, and it makes you wonder, is his recovery not going as fast as it's supposed to go?
No idea.
Or
no idea.
Maybe it's because of the guys in front of him, and they're getting all the press. And then once those guys are gone, then someone's going to pick up a nice quarterback.
it is very interesting. And keep in mind, and we will get away from the NFL stuff here in just a minute, but keep in mind, Joey B says, nope, it's just Woody Johnson standing outside of Aaron's window with a boombox like he's John Cusack.
And say anything. You know what? Every time I see Woody Johnson, I think of sitting in a luxury box next to him at Panther Stadium and my wife making fun of him because he was sitting in the next box and she's looking at him and laughing every time the Panthers scored. I think it was a preseason game, and he was ticked. He was calling down to the sidelines, all this kind. I was like, "Do you know who you're making fun of?" And just like I'm going to go ahead and say it, just like when she wouldn't let Sami Zayn out in traffic, she don't care.
So when Jimmy G lands, and he will, because the reports out of San Francisco right now are that Brock Purdy has avoided Tommy John surgery, which means he is more likely to be available next year. And San Francisco still is willing to give Trey Lance one more opportunity to earn that starting position, which means Garoppolo is the third-string quarterback. Now, I don't know what, if any, impact that can, should, or will have on the desirability of Jimmy Garoppolo as a potential trade target or free agent pickup, I should say. But it is quite interesting. Quite interesting. We've got to see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. We've got to see what happens with Lamar Jackson. And I think we've got to see what happens with Jimmy Garoppolo. Everybody else, I think, is by and large largely irrelevant. And then it comes down to, what does the draft board set up like? Let me get Greg in here real quick before we take a break. The first of the hour. Greg, welcome to the show. Good to have you, big dog.
Hey, Rob. I have a Aaron Rodgers parody that I'd like to sing for you real quick.
Oh, Lord. Parody songs. Let's go.
We've been bending over backwards just to make Rodgers happy, and all that he is doing is make a pack of fans feel crappy. It just ain't right for us. Rodgers, will you please leave us? I guess what I am saying is there ain't no better reason to ditch Packer Town and play for the Jets next season. It's what we'd love for you. Your drama makes us blue, 'cause we're so ready for love, love, love. Jordan Love, it cannot wait. I'm sure there's no need to hesitate. Your time is short. Go play for the Jets. We're sure. I'm out.
Greg, a little Jason Mraz cover. I gotta tell you, I was apprehensive out of the gate, Zoe. I was very apprehensive.
I didn't screen it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a shot at this and just go ahead and put him on. And I didn't recognize the song at first. It took a little bit for him to get into the beat where I'm like, man, I know this song. And then when he got to the chorus part, I'm like, okay, all right, I get it.
I was very apprehensive for two reasons. Number one, I don't like gimmick stealing, and parodies are hot on the Jim Rome show right now, right? So I don't like gimmick stealing, and I was a little worried, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to let Greg go here, and if it's bad, I'll just give Zoe the old cut sign. And it started a bit apprehensive out of the gate, but when he got to love, 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 I was all in. I was all in. I was very anxious out of the gate, and Greg, I am going to go ahead and say, thumbs up, Rob Brown stamp of approval. That is it rhymed. The phrasing was fine. The timing was good. He didn't change the melody of the song or the rhythm of the song. The problem I have with a lot of parodies is that you change so much about them that the only parody is like you put a word in there that's the same. I think Greg put with what, Lonzo, a solid A-, B+ effort there?
It wasn't bad. And I would tell you, Greg, I've got a quick hook. I do. So if I didn't like it, you were not making it through the whole song.
Yeah.
If this were the Gong Show, I would have the big gong right behind me. But Sorry that I referenced something that was out like in the 60s. But yeah, I was not bad at all.
I got nervous. I got apprehensive. I'm not going to lie, Greg.
Did you see me turn sideways just in case?
I saw Lonzo make the initial move towards the drop button, and I'm like, uh-oh, Greg had better have something good here. But when he turned love, 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 love into we want Jordan love, 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 I was like, I think Greg put in the time and effort to make that worth our time. A lot of parody. Guys try to make it up as they go. Greg put in the effort. I don't like gimmick stealing. Parody songs are big on Rome right now. But, Greg, I'm going to give you the Rob Brown seal of approval on that.
Well, by the way, the parody songs are everywhere. Jim, whatever his name is, he doesn't have a corner of the market just because he decides to do it and no one else can do it. I'm not saying I'm encouraging more of those to come on this show. But we're not the only live show on the station.
Correct. I do have one more thing, and then we got to run to a break. Lonzo, I hate mock drafts. I love mock drafts, but I hate mock drafts. And I hate mock drafts because every now and then I stumble upon one that makes me want to run headfirst into a wall. Okay? I just came across a mock draft written by a guy that goes by the name of Christian Williams. Christian Williams. Christian Williams covers the National Football League for a site called The Cut. Okay? And he just put out his mock draft. I'm going to give it to you real quick.
Does he pose for flash photography?
I don't know. He has got, Lonzo, the Carolina Panthers trading from 9 all the way up to number 1. In order to pick who, Lonzo?
So you're baiting me here. And
Yep.
It's not gonna be CJ Stroud. It's gonna be stinking Anthony Richardson, isn't it?
That is exactly correct.
By the way, Anthony Richardson, he raised his value at. I'm just, you got me. You got me. There's no way. There's please don't do that. Please
Carolina, according to a dude named
Combine,
Christian
that's the word
Williams.
I'm thinking of Combine.
Lonzo was so stunned by that news, he forgot to
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
He's got Carolina moving from 9 to 1 and taking Anthony Richardson. Houston taking Bryce Young at 2. Will Anderson goes to Arizona at 3. Will Levis goes to Indy at 4. You'll notice who's still on the board. Tyree Wilson goes to Seattle at 5. Christian Gonzalez goes to Detroit at 6. Devin Witherspoon goes to the Raiders at 7. Atlanta takes Nolan Smith at 8. Jackson Smith and Jigba out of Ohio State to the Bears at 9. Philly takes Paris Johnson Jr., the Ohio State offensive tackle, at 10. Broderick Jones at 11 to the Titans. And he's got the Seahawks taking CJ Stroud at number 12 on the board.
Wow.
I hate mock drafts. I hate them so very, 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 very much.
Is this guy from Michigan?
I don't know. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Greg with the parody effort there. Solid effort. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Real sports talk, real sport.
All right, I have to go turn off the Alexa in the other room. I will be right back.
So I'm not sure. I'm hearing an echo, so I hope it's loud enough to go, "Hey, Alexa. Hey, Alexa. Alexa. Alexa, play 97.1 The Fan." I don't think it's loud enough. That stinks. That would have been funny. All right, I'm going to shut this down till he comes back. I'm not going to shut it down. I'm going to pause it till he comes back because I'm going to eat. And I'm not eating in front of you, even though you want me to. I'm not doing it. I don't know, James. I wish. Although they are all linked and ready to take over. Look at that. He's back.
Yes, indeed, folks. James, I have my Alexa. So I've got four. I've got four in the house right now. One in the bedroom, one in this room, one in the kitchen, and one in the guest room. And I have you can network them. So the one in the kitchen and the one in the bedroom are networked together. So the lady friend and I can use them as an intercom in case either one of us is too lazy to walk from one end of the house to the other, which is about 10 yards total. But I can also tell the one in the the one in the kitchen to set an alarm in the bedroom or vice versa or whatever. So they can be grouped together and all operate as a unit. I can tell the one in the bedroom, play 90s country on this group, and she'll play it across all the Alexas. Whatever, you can link them, but you don't have to.
I was yelling no and you couldn't hear me because I didn't have any utility. I was yelling it really loud.
We didn't hear anything.
So do you play the 90s country to torture people?
No, I play 90s country because 90s country is one of the best eras, decades, and genres of music out there.
How dare you?
Since 2018, the New Orleans Saints have had 40 games in which the defense held their opponent to 20 or fewer points. The Raiders had 20. So the thought is Carr may have taken that because he's tired of putting up 28 and 35 points and losing games. Yeah, I think, James, the last time the Saints drafted a quarterback in the first round was like 1971 or something like that.
Scores. Real sports talk for real.
We've also been bad most of that time.
Show. Now 9 to noon. The Fan. Upstate.
So, I promise we're going to stop talking about NFL free agency and trades at some point. But it's draft season, so that point might be a little ways off in the future. If you're not an NFL guy, hold tight. We're going to get to something else here in mere moments. But you will remember, ladies and gentlemen, that back in the opening segment of this radio broadcast, an hour and a half ago, because time flies when you're winning trophies, I actually put Lonzo, I gave him the old pop quiz to name the 3 teams with the shortest odds to land Lamar Jackson. Those 3 teams were the Las Vegas Raiders, the Carolina Panthers, and the New York Jets. But here's an interesting fact. There's another number that has been moving. Now, the Jets are also considered the odds-on favorite to land Aaron Rodgers. So they're going to get one of those 2 guys. At this point, Vegas is just convinced that the New York Jets are going to land either Jackson or Rodgers. They're going to go all in on either. The numbers for both of those have come up. But here's the really interesting number, Lonzo. Since Monday, according to BetMGM, so 2.5 full days, since Monday, the Jets are the most bet team in terms of number of bets and dollars wagered to win the Super Bowl next year. 20.4% of the tickets put in with BetMGM on your Super Bowl winter, 1 out of every 5 tickets is a ticket for the Jets to win the Super Bowl. And of all the dollars that have flowed into BetMGM for your Super Bowl winner this season, 33% of those dollars, 1 out of every $3 right now, is going to bet on the New York Jets.
Is that just because they're such a long shot and so people would make more money by betting them, or everyone actually believes that they're going to be in the Super Bowl?
Well, I think that when you look at how much better the Jets were this year than they have been in the last handful of years, when you look at the fact that the Jets ended this year 7-10, but inside of that 7, you look at a 6-game losing streak to end the season that included a 5-point loss to a playoff Minnesota team, an 8-point loss to a playoff Buffalo team, a 3-point loss to the NFL Cinderella story, the Detroit Lions, and a 5-point loss on the road at the Miami Dolphins, another playoff team. And I think the thought here is if you have Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson playing in front of Zach Wilson or playing in front of Mike White or playing in front of Joe Flacco, that you can turn 3 or 4 of those 6 L's into wins, and you're probably looking at a 13-14 win ball club all of the sudden, right? So that tells you what the quarterback means at the NFL. The fact that they have this team, right? They have this team. This team is fully built. This team is ready-made. And adding a franchise quarterback takes them this far with bettors. What I don't know how to impress upon you guys as a sports gambler, as a Vegas guy, as a guy who loves reading into these numbers. I do not know how to impress upon you how ridiculous it is that 1 out of every $3 period total end of conversation is going on any one team. For if it was the Chiefs, I would say that's ridiculous. If it was the Bills, I'd say it was ridiculous. If it was on the Eagles to repeat, or the 49ers to get there. I would say that these are stone cold, ridiculous numbers. 1 out of every $3 and 1 out of every 5 tickets. So not only is 1 out of every 5 tickets going to the Jets, but of those 1 out of every 5 tickets, the majority of them are big time dollars. These are people dropping big bucks, big wagers on the New York Jets. And it is not because, Lonzo, they have Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers. It's because they might get Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers, right? This is a pre-quarterback acquisition bet. That's pretty damn ridiculous if we're being honest. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate your enthusiasm, Jets fans, but what do you know that we don't know? Man, I just don't get it. I don't.
I like I mentioned.
I also don't recall this ever happening for the Jets where they're this excited and they don't have anything to be excited about just yet.
So I think that when you look at the fact that you have a Rookie of the Year candidate on both offense and defense, right? Sauce Gardner has been nothing short of spectacular. The wide receiver core they built with Wilson Davis and Elijah Moore is very, very good. Denzel Mims is a backup guy who's probably a WR3 on most other teams around the league. At running back, they have got a trio of young guys who can absolutely go. And defensively, they're well above mediocrity. I mean, they're well above average defensively. They were, I truly believe, a quarterback away from winning that division. The other aspect of it is you got to think the AFC East as a division is just down, right? Like Miami is a question mark. Now, keep in mind, as we told you yesterday, Rich Eisen is reporting that the common thought around the combine was that Brady might be a Dolphin next year, and that kind of changes everything.
Yeah, Brady's already responded to that and said no, he just bought a kitten.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
It
was on. It was Rich Eisen talked about it yesterday. What are Jets fans going to do when they miss out on all these free agents except for one, and in strides one Sam Darnold back home?
I will tell you this. My thought would be that if they end up missing out on Lamar and Aaron Rodgers, the Jets will likely become a contender to try to acquire a top 3 pick. They likely call Arizona immediately and go, we got to make a move. They are sitting at 13, so they're, slightly above being right in the middle of the draft. They have some level of capital to make a move. I would think that if you're Carolina, unless you want Lamar or you want Aaron Rodgers, you kind of want the Jets to land one of the two of them. A, keeps them out of the NFC. Lamar or Rodgers keeps one of the two of them out of the NFC. And B, it ends up creating a spot where you've got one less competitor looking to get up to 1 or 3 that raises the value of trading up there. I already think that Carolina's got to come off of a haul that, while it may not include 2 first-round picks, may ultimately be more valuable than 2 first-round picks to get Lamar Jackson, which is why that's the direction I would like them to go. But if Lamar's not an option, I kind of want him to be in New York because it takes New York out of the bidding war and it gives you a slightly cheaper move to get to 3-1 or get your guy. That's the way it plays out in my head. Joey B just said, just read a mock that has 8 quarterbacks going in the first 3 rounds. There's no way that class is that good. It's not. And I've said, I really think if Richardson, if Levis are in a draft 5 years ago, they're 2nd round, maybe 3rd round guys, right? But this is a direct consequence of the NFL becoming such a quarterback league. This is a direct response to the NFL establishing a system where quarterback success is the most important thing to their ratings, which then generates a system on the field where quarterbacks are set up for success, which generates the consequence of if you want to win, you have to have a quarterback, right? You have to have a quarterback, and you go from, we are going to use our first round selection on a non-quarterback that we are, a guy like Jalen Carter, a guy that has every tool and has proven that he plays at an NFL level, a guy that is almost a guaranteed success story before he even straps on an NFL Shield helmet. Instead of taking a guy that is a guaranteed contributor, defensive line, linebacker, whatever, we are going to gamble our first round pick on a guy that we have no reason to believe he will or will not fail at the next level. And that is why guys like Levis and Richardson, second or third round guys in years past, are going to be top 10 picks. It is the reason that a guy like a McKee out of Stanford, a guy that 5 or 6 years ago was likely a fourth or fifth round pick, is going to come off the board in the second round. It is a reason that a guy like Hendon Hooker, who is a more unpolished C.J. Stroud coming off of major knee reconstruction surgery, is going to be a late second round guy. It is why Stetson Bennett, a guy that is a fifth or sixth rounder in years past, is going to come off the board as high as the early third round. Because at this point, it is less about finding guaranteed success at one of 22 positions and more about gambling on potential success at one. That is the unintended but very real consequence of the NFL the last few years deciding to make the league as quarterback friendly as it can possibly be. It is all about making sure that offenses put up numbers, that offenses put up touchdowns. To do that, you make the life of the quarterback easier, which means you live or die by the quarterback, and you have teams that begin gambling on guys well ahead of where ordinarily you would think they grade out. That is this result. That's what you're looking at. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2. I am Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is at the board, and you, ladies and gentlemen, are listening to The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search
The Fan.
Everybody on the stream, appreciate you guys coming by. Hope you're enjoying the show. If you are watching, let us know where you're watching from. Where are you guys at? I want to know, man. We're trying to take this thing international. So where are you guys watching from? Let us know in the chat. I'm going to step out for 30 seconds. We will be right back. Drop your locale in the chat. We'll talk about it when we come back. All right, let's see. Steven's in the Berg. Joey B listening over in the ATL. Trey and Piedmont. I don't think I've been to Piedmont yet. Lonzo, you been to Piedmont?
Yes, but don't ask me for directions.
I don't think I've been to Piedmont yet. Trey, what's in Piedmont? If I was going to make a day trip to Piedmont, what's the play, man? What's the play?
There's Piedmont in Piedmont.
Of course, the Madre down in the Cola. Jesse's over in the Berg. We need more Berg representation on the show, man. We need more Spartanburg representation.
Perhaps if there's a restaurant, an establishment over in Spartanburg would like to have us out for a little lunch gathering.
Yeah, man.
We could, get some more people aware of the show. Just saying. Contact downstairs, please. Yeah, give Carmine a ring, Steven.
Come on. Hudson says, working in Simpsonville, live in the Berg. Simpsonville's underappreciated too. There's a lot of it. That's where your movie theater is, isn't it? The one you go to?
Yes, and that's where I shop and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've been to Simpsonville many times.
It's like halfway between here and my house. So.
Spartanburg Martial Arts, trying to help teach kids character and self-defense skills along the way. I love it, Jesse. That's awesome. I did martial arts for like 6 months when I was a kid.
I say it sounds like Rob is volunteering to come over and be.
Are there adult classes, Jesse? That's a sincere question. I would probably get back into it if for no other reason, just to get back in shape.
You hurt yourself sleeping last night.
I know.
Probably not a good move.
I can't even win a fight against sleeping.
From the free Odyssey app. CBS Sports Radio. Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app. Make the Fan Upstate a favorite.
So on the stream, facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or by searching and subscribing to the Fan Up Show on YouTube or the Rob Brown Show on YouTube or Twitch. I asked the folks who are watching, because we've actually got a little bump in viewership today. All right, our numbers are higher today than they've been. We're really for a hot minute here, and so I asked everybody where they're checking in from today. We've got Pensacola, Simpsonville, Spartanburg, Fountain Inn, another Simpsonville, etc. And then we got my man Steven say that he's checking in from Sugar Tit, South Carolina. And I have to say that there are some mild level regrets that I have about moving here. None of them really bad. The only one that I truly regret is that I've yet to make it to Sugar Tit, South Carolina.
Yeah, it's one of those places that always makes me feel uncomfortable when people talk about it, but I hear it's an okay place. I believe I've been there. I've been here almost 26 years. There's a lot of places I've been to that I've forgotten, but I think I would remember exactly the moment when I was there.
I first off, I can tell you, I have had Sugar Tit moonshine, and while it is not,
there's a shocker.
I know, right? While it is not the classic moonshine that makes you regret decisions after you drink it.
I don't know. There's probably some other people out there who
don't
know. So,
then for everybody that's not Lonzo, while it is kind of boiled down, it is delightful shine, and they make it in some flavors I've never had before. I saw a billboard for Sugar Tit Distillery on the way out of town last time I went down to Florida. They have a key lime pie flavored moonshine. And as a Florida boy, I cannot tell you how excited that makes me, because key lime pie is delightful. All right? Just delightful.
Why would you want to make anything taste like key lime? And I'm not a key lime hater. I'm just trying to imagine the aftertaste on something like that.
I love key lime, and I would absolutely try to go get some. But I have not been to Sugar Tit. I have not been to Possum Kingdom either. James just reminded me of Possum Kingdom, South Carolina. I have not been there either.
When you get the bike up and going again, these sound like trips that you
Oh,
can
yeah.
make on the bike.
Oh, they listen, I've got over to my right. I've got my show prep sheet where I keep all my notes for the show. And down at the bottom, there's already a little box that has written in it Piedmont, Sugar Tit, and Possum Kingdom as motorcycle destinations. Because yes, please. I absolutely want to make that happen. I have been, Joey B, to Pumpkin Town, South Carolina. Pumpkin Town is a cool little place, but it's definitely a little place, right? Like, there's some good barbecue down that way. I can't remember the name of the little barbecue joint I stopped over there, but there's pretty good barbecue down there. But now I feel like I need to construct a tour de force over the spring and summer, to hit every one of the most interestingly named towns in the state of South Carolina. Sugar Tit, Possum Kingdom, Pumpkin Town. What else needs to go on the list? I know that there's more.
You should do, what is it called when all the motorcycle guys get together? I'm not talking about a gang. I'm talking about when everybody gets together and they go somewhere.
Just like a ride?
No,
just a group ride?
There's a name to it, and I don't remember what it's called.
Like a rally?
It's, I suppose.
All right, let's see. I am looking through WBTW News 13's 10 most unusual town names in South Carolina. They have Alkaloo. I don't know where that is. They have Coward, South Carolina, which is in Florence. Cowpens, which I have been to Cowpens. I went to the battlefield there and spent like 3 hours in Cowpens. That's a pretty cool little place. Let's see what's on the list. Ketchup Town.
That's a new one for me. I haven't heard of that.
In Horry County.
It's Horry.
Horry County, like Robert Horry.
Yeah.
Got it. Let's see. In the 1920s, farmers would travel to the country store to catch up on the news, according to the SE Picture Project. And so it later became Ketchup Town. But the daughter of Herbert Small, who owned the store, was obsessed with the letter K. She often grew elaborate Ks when in the store and changed ketchup with a C to ketchup with a K. And now it's called Ketchup Town. There's Lugoff Peak and Townville. There's better names than that.
It's Lugoff. It's not. I'm trying to help you here.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've only been here 3 years. All right? I got plenty more to learn, is all I'm saying. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. The third hour, no more NFL talk. Probably. Maybe. We'll see. We'll find out. It's like 54 minutes that we got to fill. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show's on the radio. It is the Fan Upstate.
New to the upstate. Hey, it's
Surprise.
You know what? I have not been to Dirty Myrtle either yet. I have not been to Myrtle Beach.
Well, I mean, you're from Florida, so anything that's not Florida, like you're gonna
listen.
There's some places where you might have some fun though. So
I grew up in Well, I didn't grow up in, but I grew up around Panama City Beach, Florida, and I can tell you that Panama City Beach. I've not been to Myrtle Beach, so I can't say definitively, but I suspect I'm not going to experience anything in Myrtle Beach that I didn't grow up in or on or around in Panama City Beach.
Yeah, don't go during bike week. It's not a good. They may not have that anymore.
I believe that they do, as a matter of fact.
Although you could go during bike week because you've got a bike and you would fit right in, as long as you
True.
have chaps and a vest and stuff. And
I don't have chaps. I do have a vest. Should break it out.
Colors of some type. I don't know.
Go to Cherry Grove. Myrtle is gross. Yeah, well, isn't that the appeal? I thought that was the appeal. Joey B said golf trip to Myrtle Beach win. What do you say, Joey B? Late spring? Let's do a beach golf weekend over in Myrtle. Because I from what I understand, Myrtle Beach, the place is like a disaster, but the golf is spectacular there.
It's another one of those places that gets a really bad rep. Oh, you don't want to go there and all this kind of stuff. And it's usually by the people who are who frequent the more, Pawleys Island, all those Hilton Head, those kind of things. The snobs that don't want to go where the real people live. So, but sometimes you got to get down where the real people live.
Grabbing a water beer
Myrtle
at
Beach
that.
might be the gray court of beaches, but still,
The great.
it's okay. Yeah, he's been to the more fancy places. It's the people where most of us live. He hasn't been there. I've never been to Charleston because I hear it's kind of expensive. When we go to Myrtle, we go south to Coast City, I think, or whatever it is. There's condos down there that we end up going to a lot. But if you were landlocked in Ohio for most of your life, then Myrtle Beach is paradise when you've never seen the ocean before. So that's the first time that I ever saw the ocean. And I've never seen it be as bad as everyone makes it out to be, although I'm never out past midnight either. So, I mean, I love going to Broadway at the beach, which is Myrtle, and I also like the comic book stores around there because I'm a nerd.
There's a really, really good comic book / board game / tabletop game store in Greer on their main street. And I can't remember the name of it, but it is a really cool, very big store. If you ever happen to be down that way, they had a bunch of D&D stuff that I have not seen before.
Well, if I'm going to a bookstore in the area, you know where I'm going.
No, yeah, absolutely. And by the way, huge fan of Borderlands and always will be. All right, here's some other South Carolina towns. Bee Tree, Bucklick, and Burns Down. But two words.
Bucklick?
Bucklick.
Okay. Growing up there was probably a lot of fun, I suppose.
Burns Down, South Carolina is in
Bucklick High School. Sorry.
Bucklicker. Apparently, Burns Down, South Carolina is near Columbia. There is, let's see. Oh, well, obviously we got to go to Climax, South Carolina. Dog Bluff. Gatorfield, South Carolina. Two words. Gatorfield, South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm not going there because I'm guessing there are gators in the fields. And no, thank you. Although, you're Rob Brown, you probably wrestled a gator.
Florida Boars.
This is the Rob Brown Show. Get Rob. Only on
The Fan Upstate.
And away we go. The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is great to have you. I am Rob, on the other side of the glass, and in this case, on the other side of the internet itself. The great Lonzo is back in the palatial upstate studios of the Fan Upstate. We are delighted to have you guys around for the show. taking you all the way up until noon. Then we hand it off, of course, to the godfather of sports talk radio, Jim Rome himself, followed up at 3 o'clock by Mark Ryan and Diesel with Offsides with Mark Ryan. We have got, ladies and gentlemen, our ACC and SEC tournaments underway. Round 1 of the ACC tournament tipped off with a pair of games, actually a trio of games yesterday. The Seminoles of Florida State held about a 17-point lead at one point over the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech, but could not finish the game. So the 13-seed Yellow Jackets move on. They will play the Pitt Panthers today. Syracuse and Wake Forest are your 8-9 matchup in the ACC. They will play at noon, tipping off on ESPN as we go off the air. Then we get our afternoon games. Boston College played Louisville last night, and the Cardinal, remember, the team that officially placed Clemson square on the top of the bubble, they fall to the Boston College Eagles 80-62. BC moves on to the second portion of today's 2 ACC matchups. They will take on North Carolina. Come on and raise up. That will be at 7 p.m., and then at 9:30 tonight, the game that Clemson fans will keep their eyes on when Virginia Tech takes on NC State. The Hokies put down Notre Dame yesterday, 67-64 winners over the Irish in last night's final of the trio. The Hokies, as the 11 seed, move on to take on NC State. That game will tip at 9:30. The winner of that game will get the 3 seed, the Clemson Tigers. By way of earning that 3 seed, Clemson catches the very bottom of the bracket. Their first matchup will be tomorrow evening at 9:30 p.m., and in that contest, they will take on the winner of Vatech versus NC State this evening. I have kicked this around quite a bit. I have looked at the teams that are currently sitting on the bubble versus the teams that are definitively in for the March Madness tournament. And here's what I've got. Miami is in. Virginia is in. That's the list. That's pretty much it. Everybody else, Duke is probably in. I feel pretty good about Duke being in. Clemson is the 3 seed. 1 spot above the Blue Devils. So why is Duke in, but Clemson not in? And the answer is, as I've said, and I feel like I have beaten this dead horse into a paste and then found another dead horse of the same name to start beating as well. The L's that Clemson took were in games that they should not have taken L's in. Loyola Chicago, South Carolina, Boston College, Louisville. Those 4 losses, even when compared with everything else that the Tigers did this year, put you on the bubble. So, what do you do to avenge those 4 losses? Well, the answer is, first and foremost, I don't care if you get Tech. I don't care if you get the Wolfpack. You absolutely, without doubt or equivocation, must win game number 1. You will not get in if you don't win game number 1. So let's take a look back at the last times that Virginia Tech and NC State got together with Clemson. You've only got to flashback a few games for the last time Clemson went up against the Wolfpack. And what did they do? They went to Blacksburg, and they won by 25, did the Tigers. 96-71, your final on that one. Bolstered by 28 points off the hand of Brevin Galloway. You had 20 pitched in by the big man on the inside, P.J. Hall. 4 of your 5 starters ended in double digits. Hunter had 15. Tyson had 12. Shiflin was the only one who did not get there. He had 6. He had 6 from Godfrey off the bench. 4 from Middleborough off the bench. Hunter had 3. Beetle had a pair as well. This is a team that a 21-8 Clemson team should feel pretty good about if they catch in the second round. What about Virginia Tech? You got to go a little bit further back, but it was a dub over them as well. However, this one much lower scoring and much closer. Clemson at home goes back against Virginia Tech, 51-50 winners in that one. It was a lot less balanced on the score sheet. Hall had 20, Tyson had 12, nobody else had more than 6. Why? Because Virginia Tech plays a much slower paced game. They want to slow you down. They want to distribute. They want to change the tempo that you play basketball with and force you to play it at the speed that they want to play the game, and they were successful. Now, it wasn't enough to stop Clemson from winning the game. Clemson absolutely was able to weather the storm and get that last-minute bucket to take the dub away from the Hokies. But you will not be in the friendly confines of Little John this time. This game's going to be in Greensboro. This game is going to be, I suspect, about 60-40 Clemson fans in attendance, but you will not have the full orange and purple contingent that you did when you played Tech at home in South Carolina. So what does Clemson do here? I don't care if it's Tech or NC State. The answer is control the tempo of the game. Specifically if it is Virginia Tech, though I think NC State is the favorite here. Keep in mind, if the Wolfpack come a-calling, the bad news is they will absolutely have revenge on the brain, right? They are not going to take that 25-point L sitting down. They are going to be firing on all cylinders, no doubt about it. So Clemson, knowing that the season is NIT bound, if they do not win at least one, even one keeps you on the bubble. It does not guarantee anything, right? Because there's a couple of smaller conferences that if they have an upset champion, could end up as 2-bid leagues and knock a couple of bubble teams down. And I'm going to go ahead and call the shot that Clemson will be on the bubble, but towards the middle bottom of it. 2 games, I think, is a must. That likely sets you up for another matchup with Virginia, if you're able to get by Virginia Tech or NC State. Control the tempo. Make PJ Hall be the star in that game. You have to play inside out if you are going to win, frankly, either of these games. You've got to have PJ Hall be the guy the offense flows through. You have got to make the Hokies, and I do think Virginia Tech walks out of that game tonight as your winner, but we'll find out. Either way, doesn't matter. PJ Hall is possibly the most underappreciated big man in college basketball right now. If you want to win that game, the offense has to flow through him. The offense has to be dictated through him. The offense has to be run through him. And if you can accomplish that and win Game 11 tomorrow night at 9:30 and move on to Game 13, which would be Friday at 9:30, likely against the Virginia Cavaliers. But by the way, that's not a guarantee, because before we get to that game, we can talk about another team that's on the bubble. That's the 7 seed in the ACC tournament, the North Carolina Tar Heels. The Tar Heels are also on the bubble. The Tar Heels also likely need to win 2 to get in. The good news for Clemson is that Carolina plays Boston College tonight. That is a game that should see North Carolina as a pretty heavy odds-on favorite. We brought this up earlier in the week. This is a North Carolina team that returns 4 of its 5 starters from last year's team. Last year's team was a national championship competitor. They lost to Kansas in the Natty, brought back 4 starters, something almost unheard of in today's college basketball, and yet are on the bubble. North Carolina, to me, is a very dangerous team. Between Leaky Black, Armando Bacot, this team is wildly dangerous And when is a dangerous animal at its most dangerous? When they're backed in a corner. Just like Clemson is backed in a corner right now, North Carolina is backed into a corner. North Carolina is, I am content to say, as of right now, the single most disappointing team in college basketball for the 2023 season. They just are. This team should have scratch that. This team did come into the 2022-23 season with Final Four aspirations. Instead, in a year where the ACC was down and ripe for the picking, North Carolina is a 7 seed in the conference. They are a bubble team for March Madness. They're going to get Boston College tonight. That game's at 7 o'clock. And I suspect Carolina's going to win that game going away by like 25, all right? It's going to be a beatdown. I feel bad for the Eagles. They are going to get blown out tonight by the Heels. So what's the good news for Clemson, knowing that Carolina is that dangerous? The good news is that despite the record and the seed saying the opposite, the Virginia Cavaliers are the most dangerous team in the Atlantic Coast Conference right now. Who is North Carolina going to catch if they win this game against BC tomorrow before Clemson matches up with either NC State or Virginia Tech? North Carolina versus Virginia. I think that you have the best team in the ACC, Virginia, taking on the most dangerous team in the ACC. That is North Carolina on the bubble, right? If Virginia and UNC do what I think they're going to do, that is the possibility for an overtime game. That is the possibility for a game where these two teams beat the hell out of each other. The good news for Clemson is that on Friday, in the semifinals, you will catch either Virginia or UNC, and you will catch one of those two teams coming off of a fight, coming off of a scrap, coming off of potentially the most physical competition that either one of these two teams has seen all year. Now, I want both teams to come out healthy, because if Clemson's going to do it in the ACC semis, I want to see them do it against the best Virginia or best Carolina team possible. But realistically speaking, you are likely going to see one of these two teams emerge victorious out of Game 10, move into Game 13 against Clemson, but be bruised, beaten, sore. They are going to be scrapping for their lives tomorrow night in that 2-7 matchup. And whichever team emerges is going to be aggressive, but tired when they take on Clemson the next day at 9:30. Now, that is irrelevant if Clemson cannot get by the winner of Virginia Tech NC State. And we'll be able to break that game down tomorrow when we know the opponent, and I'll give you some X's and O's, Jimmy's and Joe's breakdown of that game. Right now, it's a hypothetical. But when we have our winner tomorrow, if Clemson can win, and this is the problem that the Tigers have had this year, and as far as I can tell, pretty much for the duration of Brad Brownell's extent as the head coach of this team. If Clemson wins the game they are supposed to win, which unfortunately, there are 4 instances this year where they did not. Loyola Chicago, South Carolina, Boston College, and Louisville. All of whom are worse than both Virginia Tech and NC State. Those games were games that Clemson was expected to be in a dogfight. One of them, Tech, they were. One of them, NC State, they were not. The question that I have here, and I think these two games, Lonzo, will go a very, very long way towards dictating who and what Brad Brownell's Tigers are. There is one game tomorrow night they will be the favorites. They will be expected to win. That is Virginia Tech or NC State. Then they will be in a game that they are not expected to win. That is either Virginia or North Carolina. If Brad Brownell's team can get the one that they are supposed to win tomorrow night and the one that they are not supposed to win on Friday night against Virginia or UNC, I will have a hell of a lot more confidence in this team wearing orange headed into March than if they, drop the one they're supposed to win tomorrow and don't make it to the tournament at all.
I'm not going to crack on Clemson here because it would be very easy to say something about how things have worked in the past. Win. That's all you got to do. Win. We'll see if they can do that or not.
Like, I know it. I know it sounds Captain Obvious. It is Captain Obvious. Win the game you're supposed to win. You move to the top of the bubble. Win a game you're not supposed to win. You bounce off the bubble and you bounce in. Or we just make it real easy. Just go win the tournament. Just go lock yourself in as ACC champs. Win the tournament. It's only 3 games. Clemson went on multiple 3-game winning streaks with a team like a Miami or a Duke or a Virginia or a North Carolina thrown in the middle. It's more than possible, but it's got to start tomorrow night by winning a game that you are supposed to win. That's all it comes down to. James said, Rob, did you make a Petey Pablo reference? Who am I? Yes, I did. You know why? Because I'm old, but I'm awesome. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Got a few more topics I want to sprint through. Then we get to Twitter trending topics. We call it a day. 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We have got a ton of texts that have come in. I will address them when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
All right, I have no idea who Petey Pablo is. And I don't want to look it up because I just don't know.
Petey Pablo was a rapper from, back in my high school days, into my college days. Petey Pablo sang Raise Up, Freak-a-Leak. I'm trying to remember more of his stuff. Raise Up was probably the one you know about. North Carolina, come on and raise up. Take your shirt off, twist it around your head, spin it like a helicopter.
I think I was past my rap phase at that point, probably.
100% you were. No disrespect.
And yes, I did have a rap phase. It was back when it started.
Petey Pablo released Raise Up in 2001. You weren't that old.
Yeah, I was. Do you know how old I would have been?
38.
No. Would have been 31, but still.
I'm bad at math. You know that.
It's okay. It's all right. But yeah.
That is not the worst you're old joke I've made to you, for the record.
No, it's not. It's but I think most people in their lives go through phases as far as the music they're into. There are some people just find their music, like country music fans. That's it. That's it. They're country music fans for life. Everything else is noise. But I've went through a ton of phases, which was taught to me by my mom, who had like over 1,000 records, and they were, a mix of Motown and Crocus and a bunch of different things. So, what music did your mom and dad listen to?
My dad was a singer-songwriter guy, so a lot of John Denver, a lot of Jim Croce, stuff like that. Hilariously, my mom was more Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, Grateful Dead. Like, my mom was my mom is the reason that I like rock and roll, is because of the Madre, not my dad.
I am curious how many people on the stream did you pick up what your parents listened to and you're still into that, or did you rebel and go the exact opposite? Well, I'm going to listen to this because they listen to that. I thought my mom, like I said, had a very eclectic taste, so I got a little bit of everything. Got to hear it gives you more of an appreciation rather than just sticking to one thing. But if you stick to one thing, good for you. That's why there's so many different kinds of music. when you could choose what concert you could go to, what's the first concert you went to?
Well, I would start with the first concert that I can remember begging my parents to take me to was Garth Brooks when he was on tour in 94, 95. He had Martina McBride open for him, and that's when I fell in love with Martina, but I love Garth. The first concert that I can remember going to on my own, like I bought the tickets to, was... Oh, God. Let's see. I saw Kenny Chesney in Tallahassee, but this was back when he was actually a country artist instead of a Jimmy Buffett knockoff.
Get in the game
I'll have
on
to
the
think
Rob
about it.
Brown Show.
Only on the Fan.
The Fan.
Upstate.
All right, let me respond to some of the texts that we have gotten throughout the day today, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Go back to the start of the show when I said I lost the fight to a pillow last night. I woke up. My shoulder is killing me this morning because I slept funny. I slept wrong. That's the age I'm at now. Mike texted the show. Mike said, Rob, welcome to being old. This is Mike. I have the same issues, my man. Do you understand how much it hurts my ego, my pride, to go from a very well-rounded athlete who was not great at anything but was pretty good at everything to guy who can't sleep correctly without injuring himself? Do you understand how much that hurts my pride? Lonzo does.
Oh, I absolutely do, because I had the same problem yesterday. But here's the thing, though. You are speaking to your demographic.
Damn, Lonzo took all of us down at the same time.
So everybody out there knows exactly what you're talking about.
Texture says, Rob, is that injury a shot to your ego like Liverpool 7, Man United 0? That was an ass kicking, and you would better believe I've got two friends, including Mark Shelley, the seductive voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, who, by the way, will start joining the show weekly next week, both to talk Bits hockey and as our NHL analyst as we get closer to the Stanley Cup. He's a Man U guy, and let me just say, I put out a welfare check, and he was not okay.
We need to
not
come
okay
with some music to showcase his vocal stylings when he comes on.
True, but you can't give him our Barry White music. We got to find something else.
That's reserved only for us and for DA's thieving people.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
UNC Chris texts into the show. He said, Rob, I'd say there are some closed-door owners' meetings in which no fully guaranteed contract is agreed upon. They actually can't do that, Chris. That is a violation of both the antitrust exemption that the NFL has. It is also a violation of the collective bargaining agreement between the players and the league itself. So if they did that, there would be lawsuits galore. That is the definition of collusion. 32 business owners all coming together to agree on not paying market price for employees is the definition of collusion. Lamar would get more out of a lawsuit than he would out of the contract if that was the case. Plus, if there's one owner who says, no, I'm actually good with a guaranteed contract, it doesn't matter. Texture says, Rob, like Lamar, Cam was Iron Man 2 until he wasn't playing a similar style of football. I don't disagree, but there is one major difference between the way Cam balled and the way Lamar balled. And it's this. First off, Cam was always more of a power runner than Lamar, right? Lamar runs a lot, but he doesn't run into contact, right? The second thing that I think is a massive difference here, Zoe, is, and how many times have we heard this complaint, Cam Newton took absolute wrecking ball shots from defenses that on any other quarterback would have been a steady parade of 15-yard flags, but they weren't for Cam when he was a Panther. Lamar gets those calls. Cam does not.
Well, I think and I could be wrong, that Cam is built totally different than Lamar, and that Cam is bigger, and that's something we could check. But when Cam was doing those runs, they were comparing him to Shaq, how Shaq wouldn't get any calls, the same sort of thing. But it was brutal, some of those hits. That other quarterback, if Tom Brady took a hit like that, the people would have been fired on the other side. It was so bad. But any quarterback that runs at all, and you have to in today's NFL. I mean, how many quarterbacks just sit back in the pocket? They just don't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's not the way it's played anymore.
You have to have some mobility and be able to run when necessary. You're going to take some shots, but Cam played like a linebacker or a quarterback.
That is 100% correct. 100% correct. Texture says, Rob, can you respond to the reports that Fluor Field was about 66% Clemson, 33% Carolina fans during the game this past weekend? Listen, I didn't count. I didn't take attendance. It looked, I would have said, about 55-45 Clemson, but I also don't care. Yeah. At the end of the day, the game was...
Why would anyone care about that? The only reason why you care about that is if you're on one side or the other and you want to make the other side look bad. That's the only reason why you care about that.
I don't care. I don't care. That game was not necessarily a referendum on, does the Upstate have a favorite team? Is this team in charge? Is that team in charge? I'm not particularly worried about it, right? Like, both teams get representation.
Was it a good game?
It was an incredible game. It was a great crowd.
So why find negatives in that?
It was phenomenal baseball. I mean, I'll be real with you. I never really paid that much attention. Like, I wasn't looking around. I was watching a damn fine baseball game with, by the way, friend of the show, Shane Beamer.
And you had a better view than probably a lot of other people did.
I mean, again, I was standing almost in the dugout on first base. I did not even think. I didn't even think about it. Right? I didn't even think about it. It was, this game is damn good, and it was a damn good baseball series. Clemson took one in Clemson. Carolina had to battle back to get the second one on Saturday in Greenville, and then they mashed it at home in Game 3 in Columbia. It was an incredible baseball series. I loved all three games of it, which I watched, and I thought the only thing that mattered to me about that game was that Greenville represented the hell out of itself at that game. I thought it was spectacular. I thought it was exceptional, and that's all I've got on it.
By the way, your dog just barked. That's the first time I've ever heard that happen.
Really?
If there's an invasion or something going on.
There's not an invasion. I do have showing on the screen back here. The mom of the lady friend is live on camera. Hi back there, Miss Deborah. She's like, I'm out. I'm out.
Which is why the dog barked. You didn't even hear the dog bark, but I did.
Oh no, I heard it. I got a headset off. All right, couple more texts that have come in throughout the course of the show. Texter says, as a Boston sports fan, I sincerely enjoy New York sports teams falling flat on their face, so I hope they get neither and then choke on a draft pick. I'll say this. The Jets, I genuinely, truly, honestly believe, are a quarterback away from being a damn good football team. If they don't get Rodgers or Jackson, and by the way, the Jets are best odds, not Green Bay, to get Aaron Rodgers, and the Jets are third best odds in the NFL to land Lamar Jackson at this point. They're gonna get one, because they are all in, sell the farm to the bank to get one. If they don't, that's bad news for Carolina, because the value of a 1 or a 3 skyrockets, because now the Jets, a team that we did not consider in for those picks, likely is. Texter says, Pumpkin Town was originally spelled with an E, not an I. Really? I will learn the history of Pumpkin Town, South Carolina very soon.
Why does that matter? I mean, you know.
History's interesting, Lonzo.
No, I know, but why would someone go, you know what? We don't need an E in here. We got to change that.
I got you. I got no idea. Texture says.
I was more talking about why would they change it?
No idea, but I will learn because I am a nerd. Texture says, can't forget Tudor Town near Greer. That's from Bo. Tudor Town?
Tudor
Town. Is that a real place, Bo, or are you screwing with me?
I
feel like Bo wants me to go to Greer, get an Uber, ask, can you take me to Tutortown, and then get arrested and kicked out of the Uber?
I don't know. I don't know. This is something you can look up. This might be a dad joke. I'm curious, so I need to know if it is. Is Tutortown smelly?
I genuinely don't know.
Okay, if you live in Tutortown or you know someone who lives in Tutortown, please have them contact us.
Got to find out. Texture says Spiderweb, South Carolina. Is that a real place?
That doesn't sound like.
I feel like I'm getting screwed with now.
Yeah, I don't think that's a real place. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Texture says Smoking Pig and Easley if you went up towards Pumpkintown. That might have been where it was, actually. I don't remember. Texture says there is a place called Monkey Island, South Carolina, where no one is allowed to go. That's from Tron. Monkey Island.
I wouldn't mind going to Monkey Island. Spiderweb, South Carolina, according to Wikipedia, so it could be true, is an unincorporated community in Aiken County.
Okay, so right down the road.
Maybe our friend Paul White, the Big Show, has been to Spiderweb before.
I have to find out. Red, Texas Show, said, Robin Lonzo, you guys are the godfathers of Sports Talk Radio, not anybody else. I'm not old enough to be a godfather of anything yet, to be honest with you. That's not true. I actually am a godfather to two different people, as a matter of fact.
It's not about age. It's about power.
Texas said, I'm aware, but Kaepernick was still of playing caliber and never got a job, so I wouldn't put it above them. Yeah, listen, because Chris, that is a interesting conspiracy theory that has been pitched around a couple of times, that there was a bit of collusion to keep Kaepernick out of the league. I will also tell you that I don't know if there needed to be, right? You got to keep in mind at the height of the Kaepernick conversation, the discussion was you had, and it turned out to be wildly untrue, but half of people polled said if Kaepernick got a job, they would stop watching the league. If you're a business owner and half your customers say if you do X, I'm not buying anymore, you don't need collusion to go, I'm not going to take that risk. But we'll find out.
By the way, Rob, Tutortown is in Greer, and they have an auction and fairgrounds, according to the first thing that popped up when I looked up Tutortown.
Well, there you go. There you go. And
just in case you're wondering, it's Tudor and town. They're two different words.
Yeah, two different words. Is it Tooter or Tutor?
It's T-O-O.
T-O-O. I loved it. Texture says, Rob, I worked in Pumpkintown. You need to go to the Pumpkintown Festival this fall. I also saw bears there. Like cocaine bears or regular bears?
Or Chicago Bears.
I'll tell you what, if there's Pumpkintown Festival, I am 1,000% in.
Do they have
1,000% in.
Pumpkins in Pumpkintown? Because I'm guessing.
I assume that's what it's named for, but I don't know. I'm an idiot. All right, and finally, our buddy Stack Citizen actually planned on bringing this up, so I'm glad that he did. Rob, could you please share that Furman has partnered with Mitchell Road Christian Academy to host middle school baseball games at their Latham Stadium? Our first game is tomorrow at 4 p.m. against Hampton Park. Tickets are $5 for adults. Kids are free. Please come and help create an exciting environment for local baseball players. Also, a shout out to the Furman Athletics Department and ground staff for helping make this happen. I'm glad Stacks wrote in. I was going to talk about this, but I'm glad I do it today, not tomorrow. If you have not heard, as he mentioned there, Mitchell Road Christian Academy and Furman are working together. If you were worried about Furman still got this beautiful baseball stadium and nobody's using it, they are now. Tomorrow, middle school baseball on campus at Furman, starting at 4. If you are a baseball guy, great way to show community support for local baseball and get out there and enjoy one of the most beautiful baseball facilities in the upstate of South Carolina. Stacks has busted his hump to put this on. Furman bent over backwards to make sure that they could have this and these kids could get out there and play on this park. I'm going to do my best to scoot on by there tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be very cool. Get on out there, support these kids, support Furman, support Mitchell Road Christian Academy. That is fantastic, man. Fantastic. All right, let's run to our final break of the show. When we come back, one or two more quick thoughts, then Twitter trending topics, then we call it a show. I am Rob Brown, the great Lonzo's at the board, and you, ladies and gentlemen, are listening to The Rob Brown Show. You are listening to The Fan Upstate. Okay, there we go. Am I audible?
You are. What'd you do?
Excellent. Her parents are letting me borrow their car for a couple of days. So I have a ride until
I figured that's what that was. I meant, did
Yeah.
you knock a cord out or something? Since you
No. I forgot to unmute my stupid microphone. I forget when I'm at home. I've actually got to unmute myself.
State 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
All right, wrapping it all up here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Want to have a conversation very briefly before we get to Twitter trending topics. The World Baseball Classic is underway. We had a first pitch yesterday evening. When I say evening, I mean 11 o'clock last night. We had a first pitch. We had a game also go first pitch at, 6 a.m. this morning, I think. It was very late. Game number 2 went this a.m. Panama got the win over Chinese Taipei, 12-5. 14 hits for the Panamanians, 13 for Taipei, but only 5 runs scored, 1 error surrendered. The World Baseball Classic happening alongside the spring training of Major League Baseball. Anybody but me watching this thing? Is anybody but me? And the reason I ask this question is we have the Olympics roll around every 4 years, and the Olympics are an event that are very intriguing to me as a sports talk radio show host, right? Because when we talk about the Olympics, you guys respond. Now, not like you respond to college football, not like you respond to the National Football League, not like you respond to the biggest of big American sports, but you guys respond to the Olympics. But there's no room for Olympic sports outside of the Olympics, right? I would get run off the radio if I spent more than a minute or two swimming and diving. And if I do swimming and diving, it better be the Clemson swimming and diving team did this or the Gamecock swimming and diving team did that.
See, I'd rather hear about that. I'd rather hear about the swimming and diving team.
Then what?
Than World Baseball.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah,
See, and I guess that's my question. And the reason I brought it up, the reason I'm curious about it, as the Americans' first game will be on Saturday at 9 p.m. against Great Britain. The reason I brought it up is the World Baseball Classic the past few years have gotten Olympian in nature in terms of the roster build, right? The roster build for the United States is an all-star team this year. It's frankly quite impressive. The guys on this team, guys like C.J. Riamoto, Will Smith, Pete Alonso, Paul Goldschmidt, Jeff McNeil, and Nolan Arenado, Bobby Witt, Tim Anderson, these are all all-stars, right? And this is an international event. It is Olympian in caliber. Almost every team has multiple MLBers on it. Most of them have multiple MLB All-Stars on it. Venezuela's team has multiple All-Stars. Cuba's team, multiple All-Stars. Puerto Rico, multiple All-Stars. Colombia, Mexico, all of them have multiple All-Stars on the team. As baseball goes, this is an all-star tournament, right? And with the international flags on the jerseys. I love the World Baseball Classic. There have been 2 games. I have watched both of them so far, but the question I have is, with everything the WBC has done over the past couple of years to try to, I don't know, not justify itself, endear itself. That's the word I want to use. For everything the WBC has done to endear itself to baseball fans internationally, right? It has gotten Major League Baseball to say, yes, take the best players in Major League Baseball away from our spring training for 2 weeks. When they get back from the WBC, the teams that go the distance, they'll have like a week and a half until the start of the regular season of Major League Baseball, right? So they got Major League Baseball to say, yes, take our best players away during the most critical point of the year, spring training, when they're getting ready for the start of the season. Send them to one place on the other side of the planet to play 4 to 12 baseball games, depending on how deep they go into the tournament. They have put it on where it's available on multiple outlets. Every game is aired. The ones that are aired overnight will be re-aired during the day the next day. They have done, I genuinely think, more work than actual Major League Baseball has done to make their games readily and easily accessible to baseball fans. Yet here we are, one day deep, into the biggest tournament in baseball that is not the Major League Baseball playoffs, and I've got nothing. Not I've got nothing. I've got plenty. I got a lot to talk about in the WBC. But you guys have got nothing. You guys have said nothing. Nobody's asked me questions about the WBC. Nobody has brought up the WBC. Here's 2 texts that came in. I had no idea the World Baseball Classic was happening. That's from Trey. And another texter said, I had no idea that was even going on, so there's that. One texter said, definitely watching the WBC. The more baseball, the better. David Wright's walk-off in the last WBC to give the U.S. the win and send Jim Leyland off. Let me find the second half of that text. Either way, you get the point. With the championship was amazing. Can't wait to see what the boys do this time around. That's from Alan B. I have found that my baseball guys, right? The guys that during baseball season, I get the text at 7:30 of meet us at Hall of Fame at 9:15 for the Braves' first pitch, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. Those guys have a group text going. We're talking WBC in my baseball group text, but I really honestly thought in the Southeast, clearly in Braves territory, clearly in baseball country, that there would be some discussion about the World Baseball Classic, the Americans' first game on Saturday at 9 p.m. It is Olympian level in types of quality, production, execution, yet the Olympics get love every 4 years and the WBC's got nothing, and I am a little taken aback, shocked, and frankly, disappointed in that. I really thought you were going to take that opportunity to just crap on my event.
I gotta admit, I phased out when you started talking about World Baseball Classic. I just, I mean, you know, at least
Cool.
I'm consistent. At least I'm consistent.
You know what, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever get to start your own show, when you look for a co-host and executive producer, look for the guy who goes, I blanked out when you talked.
I'm just using that as an excuse for taking this as the cue to hit that because it was closer to the.
I respect that.
So I decided to go with the joke where you could dismantle me live on the air.
I respect that.
Point out that, you know, you're not here, and I thought that meant to hit the button. So, but at least I got the pleasure of watching you have to hold your head while you're drinking your drink. So there's that. All right. The first thing that's trending is hashtag taboo crypto. I just wanted to say taboo crypto.
Taboo crypto. So crypto at one point was the next big thing. Now it's basically only talked about by the crypto bros who are still trying to convince you that it is the next big thing. I I don't know what would be taboo about it other than, much like your dreams and your fantasy football team, nobody wants to hear your thoughts on crypto anymore.
Except for, just stay away from it, I guess.
I guess.
All right. Red Lobster is trending.
Can I just say that on Saturday, some random British starting pitcher is going to have to face a lineup consisting of Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, and Trey Turner. If you even think you're a baseball fan and that doesn't intrigue you, you're not a baseball fan. All right.
You know what I am intrigued by? Red Lobster trending.
Let's just say, Rob's not a chain restaurant guy. I'm not against them. They just I'm never going to be like, I want seafood, let's go to Red Lobster. But if you do want to go to a chain, Red Lobster is towards the top of acceptability because those cheddar biscuits remain banging.
I love Red Lobster, but I'm not a big lobster guy. Are you? Do you like lobster? Do you love lobster?
I love lobster.
From Florida.
I love lobster.
Caught the lobster and boiled it yourself.
I have been lobstering in Key West. The lobsters in Key West are the spiny lobster. They do not have the big claws like a Maine lobster does, and they are superior lobster. Lobsters are the superior bug of the sea.
Thank you very much. All right, the next thing that's trending.
Wait, why is Red Lobster trending?
I don't know. I just
okay.
I couldn't find out why.
All right, there you go.
One closed down in Arizona, and then there's a big deal. Something just came back. It's Red Lobster. Really, I saw it was trending, and I figured we'd get a Florida superiority thing over Red Lobster. And
listen, here's
what I thought, but it was close.
Here you brought it out of me. Here's the realization. I understand that that we are relatively landlocked, being almost 4 hours away from the Atlantic, and on top of that, the portion of the Atlantic we're from primarily features cold water white fish. You're not going to get a ton of real crab and lobster like I would in Florida. I grew up literally driver 3-iron away from the Gulf of Mexico, right? So my standards for seafood are through the damn roof. They're just through the roof. No, Red Lobster doesn't cut it if I want seafood, but they win me over because unlimited all-you-can-eat mediocre shrimp is still really good all-you-can-eat shrimp with some cheddar biscuits on the side.
All right, and South Carolina hasn't landlocked. Ohio was and still is, and unless you consider a lake somewhere you want to go catch fish in, not that kind of fish. So Red Lobster was amazing in Ohio. Time for one more. The Mandalorian is trending.
Have you watched any of the new season yet?
I haven't watched episode 2 yet because it dropped today. I did watch episode 1 though.
How was it?
Oh, I loved it. It was short. It was only 37 minutes, but it was setting up a lot of things, letting you know what they're probably going to do this year.
I have heard, and again, this does not dictate whether I watch it or what my thoughts are before, but I have heard some not so glowing reviews. I've also heard from dear friends of mine who are big time Star Wars, including one guy that's got Star Wars tats on his arm, that Andor ruined The Mandalorian because it was so much better than what they're doing with The Mandalorian.
How many episodes of Andor did you watch?
I have not watched Andor yet.
Yeah,
I'm not the one saying that.
Yeah, I watched one episode. I was like, yeah, this is not for me. But that's no.
Yeah,
surprise.
but you also thought that Rogue One was bad, which is a bad opinion.
The worst Star Wars movie ever made.
Bad opinion. Just bad opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for us. We are out. 21-hour break. We're back to do it all over again tomorrow. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast will join us. Fight Club as well. We will see you then. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother.
Hey, Greenville, Spartanburg.
Don't listen to the critics. You watch the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. Watch it. I mean, unless it totally takes a dive in episode 2. No, it's good, dude.
Listen, I really liked The Mandalorian. Really liked The Mandalorian. I liked The Mandalorian because of the different, like every episode was a different feel. And I thought that was really well constructed, really well put together. I have not watched Andor yet. Not because I don't want to, I just haven't gotten to it. But I have heard a lot of good things about Andor. And most of the people who said all the good things about Andor said Andor was so good that it knocks The Mandalorian down a peg in their opinion. But we'll see.
We'll see in the end as far as viewership goes. I guess that's what proves it.
I'm going to watch Andor before I get to The Mandalorian, which is why I'm not caught up on The Mandalorian. But all that's coming. James said, Rob, ever been to Gulf Shores? Have I been to Gulf Shores? James, I have spent plenty of weekend. Gulf Shores, Alabama is an incredible place, man. An incredible place. I love Gulf Shores. My band has played multiple weekends in Gulf Shores. Gulf Shores, in fact, when people around here ask me where to go, I'm like, listen, if you want to go to the beach and you want to enjoy the green water and the white sands, but you don't want to get into the thick of it and the expense in a place like Destin, Gulf Shores is a fantastic, fantastic option. And it also keeps you away from Navarre, which is the best place to go. Hudson says Andor is just way different, insanely good storytelling, more earthly and personal, and less Star Wars feel in a way. Okay. I will be watching. I really have. I've got on the list right now, Captain America Chris Evans down the hall has got me with Encanto next up on the list because I have not seen that yet. Andor's on the list. Is Steven still here? Top Gun Maverick is on the list. And what's the one other one? Mandalorian, obviously.
Dude, there are so many things you haven't watched. I mean, that's why you can't remember.
Oh, the first Shazam, because I want to see if I like it before I go see Shazam 2. All of that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I am here tomorrow and Friday. Out of pocket Saturday, Sunday. Here next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I am off next Thursday and Friday, as Courtney and I will be in New York City.
For some reason, I thought it was only Friday you were off. Oh, okay.
No, I'm out Thursday and Friday. We're flying out Thursday early morning. We will return late night Sunday. I'm going to go ahead and tell you next Monday I am going to be exhausted.
Well, I won't be here for that, so I'm on vacation that week.
Oh, word. Okay. Well, sorry to whatever. Sorry to whoever is stepping in.
It's T2.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. I like T2. He can do it. He's got this. Anyway, the point of all that is knowing how busy this weekend and next week are going to be. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. The lady friend and I are pretty much committed to doing nothing at night other than sitting on the couch and watching movies and TV shows and getting caught up and saving money for the New York trip. So I should be able to knock most of that out before we go to New York. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you guys are great. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Bye.
Bye-bye.